This American practicing lawyer in Southern California and a public servant and human rights activist for community. Ms. Nguyen is district representative on the Orange County Water District, where she was first elected in 2014. In November 2016, she was elected by her district to the trustee area 5th seat on the Garden Grove Unified School District School Board. Please welcome Ms. Dina Linh Nguyen.
Thank you, Senator John Cornyn, for having this forum today. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the opportunity to be in this magnificent hall where our amazing leaders and the great thinkers following them have made, changed, and canceled policies to secure and further the welfare of this great nation. I'm much honored to be among the very dedicated human rights advocates here to express concern for the voiceless victims regarding the issue of human rights in Southeast Asia, and particularly Vietnam. I beseech your sentiment and wisdom to hear and act on the testimonies which they are about to give on the account of violations in Vietnam. We are in full accord when Congress takes measure to encourage foreign countries to improve human rights conditions in other parts of the world. There are state reports that human rights violations are improving in Vietnam. But why do we continue to have discussions on the issue? Because as people, we know that our conscience leaves us no other choice but to be proactive. As a nation, we know that lack of human rights in other parts of the world causes negative impacts on our economy and the power to defend this nation. To treat lightly the human rights violation in Vietnam is to preserve and promote the power China exerts over other Caucasian countries. A power that can dangerously magnifies and manipulates foreign affairs and global economy at the detriment of the people of this nation. When human rights are ignored, child labor increases, human extortion increases, religions are oppressed, and speeches are oppressed. Millions of women, children, and the impoverished suffer forced servitude and indebtedness condition that puts the United States at an economic disadvantage and puts China in a superior position. Imagine that our government what would it be like if we conduct ourselves as so, with no rules, no orders, no conscience? We would have no child protective services, no minimum wage, no labor unions, no environmental standards for companies, no religious establishment for moral support. Lastly, I request that our government open investigations on the following matters committed by Vietnam Communist authorities. First, September 8, 2016, demolition of the Thich Nhat Pagoda. Secondly, February 14, 2017, the beating of Father Nguyen Thuc and 50 parishioners in the Nghệ An province. April 11, 2017, the arrest of Hoa Ha Buddhist, Mr. Hoa Van Hoa and his family, kept in isolation for 14 days without utilities. And lastly, May 2nd, just a few days ago, the death of Mr. Nguyen Hu Tan, allegedly suicide after authorities ransacked his home and arrested him. And as the other speakers have mentioned, they're not doing very much. Even the fact that they are shortening the time for religious registration, that does not change how they treat religion. It's just a form of satisfying the world and to gain some benefits for the government of the corrupted officials. We owe it to our 60,000 fallen Americans in Vietnam and also to our conscience and our nation to make it right. I thank you again for having me at this forum.